I went to college and took some physics, and he's like, welcome to the science community. And so I guess that was a open door invitation. And so with that being said, I think that all the scientists behind viruses were going to bed at night because they know that in the future they would be renowned for doing work in AI. And that's really unsettling to hear, but that's more than likely the outcome of whatever had been of occurrence. And that's why we're in trying times. The news is so dangerous because people do not know any better despite having what great freedom. And so there was one person in the trying times of the last few years, Noord Ferrari. He said people are now hackable. And contrary-wise, it's lead paint. People having lead paint got really sick, and that was a hack with whoever had made the idea of putting lead in it, despite it being involuntary or not, isn't the case in point. In the medieval era, they had tomatoes, and this was put on a silver dish and fed to the royal courts. They feasted on like these silver or nickel dishes, one or the other, and the tomato had like this acidic reaction with it, and it made everyone really sick. And so that was humans getting hacked. And so looking at those two examples is no different than computer coding. Boolean logic is what data in computers are made up of. A bit is a switch, and it goes like 1010, and that switch is like on or off, and that is what correlates a Boolean logic. Boolean logic is the same thing as an algorithm, and algorithms were invented before computers were even thought up of in the Middle East, like 200 years ago. How hackable a human is just like, it isn't really a thing. But the dangerous part is the people getting sold at this idea, or Noor Harari's pushing. And so that's dangerous. Or it was the other things I thought up of. Shit. Oh yeah, how to prevent them is like Plato, his cave. He was like chained up inside of a cave. Not really, but this was like a theorem. He gets people chained up in a cave, and they get used to being in a cave and just seeing a wall, and these wall sometimes has a shadow cast on it. Excuse me. And so these shadows cast on the wall becomes a reality of the people who are staring at the wall tied up. And so they come to believe that this is a reality of these shadow figures, because humans are social creatures. So the interaction, what they see in these shadows, to them is a reality of interaction, sociability. And that's what social media is doing when it comes to, like, in movies, when they have these text messages that pop up on screen, and it's trying to get like interactive in a modern cinematography by showing text on a screen with the character texting. It's so corny. But or like a video, if they're doing like a Snapchat in a movie, they'll put like a separate split screen to show the character doing a video web camera, and it's really cheesy, but that is more and more what is the notion of Plato's cave of shadow figures is humans becoming more and more attached to communication that is through like a web camera or text on a phone. I'm not saying it's bad in emergencies, but it in movies is entirely like wish-washy. And so the more that people are used to seeing this as normal, it's more and more so tying yourself in bondage in the cave, staring at a phone or a screen and having that be a reality, as shadow figures were in Plato's cave. So one way I can avert example A with humans being hackable and example B with humans falling victim to a lesser social conceptualization is knowing a hologram and a polarization. A polarization is like a crystal. If you have a crystal and it's diffracting, you might see a peephole in a door. If a light shines through it, it'll cast like a rainbow lens effect on a wall, if you've ever seen this. That rainbow is ostensibly a hologram. And so you can cut a diamond in a specific shape, and so light will cast off of it to resemble a hologram if you know the exact cuts you need to make. You can embed within depth of the crystal inside the density of it to make the cuts more and more hidden and discreet, so it looks like there are no cuts. And lo and behold, if you magnify, if you strengthen the laser or the light being cast on the crystal, then it is going to make a hologram. Only if you have your angles right. The refraction angle of a polarization is really important, and the laser intensity is really important to make the hologram as crisp as possible. And a hologram is like a shadow, except it's made from light being cast, as opposed from a shadow being darkness cast about from light being averted from a figure. So it's really a give or take, and you need like the cuts of the, I call it diamonds, but there's crystalline structure. It's like when you put someone inside of a CAT scan, it's rendering out specifics of like from radiation, and from radiation it gives you specific data. The same way a heat signature, but it gives off like these colors and electromagnetic spectrum where there's a distinct coloration of the different chemical constructs that are in its makeup. And so in a design of any like figure, it'll have the chemicals in it, and those chemicals will have specific colors, darker and lighter on like a flat strip. And so this is what would be the hologram makeup, that thereof. It's on everything in the entire world. It might as well be a flat earth, because you can batten down from sea to shining sea on God's green earth, and we have a blue planet. And so these are all things that are like distinct actions or adjectives Adjectives are action words that describe the planet. And so the more that those are inevitably true, it's just reassurance that these catastrophes are not overpowering, overwhelming. One thing or another is that the oh yeah, this is how I'd like to talk to Russians, because they have really like smart intuitions of uh what is like survivability. In order to survive, they have like really good understandings of just common sense nature in general. So like rich people, they'll have a rich luxury car, and they'll have a rich luxury house. And so here's great logic. Um, unless you know people inside of a neighborhood, you're not usually going to see people's rich house if they have a big one, but you will see their luxury vehicle when they are driving outside of their neighborhood. These are just common sense things. And then it's building the logic between that two endpoints where a bridge is formed. So here's the setup of a bridge in the middle is like a really fanciful car. It can be so luxurious that the engine can be in the trunk of the car. That's it. Period. That it isn't, but it actually is. You don't want to breathe in a car's exhaust, but the safest place to not do this is in front of the car, because the tailpipe blowing out exhaust is at the back of it. So when you see a car, you would think that, oh, I don't want to be head on with it, it's dangerous. But when it comes to breathing in a car, if it's not even moving, you want to be in front of it and not behind it. And that's Boolean logic that is just not on a computer.